I don't know why revision hurts so much, but it certainly does. And I must admit, I don't like revision myself, but there are a couple of techniques that you need to know. And one of the techniques is revise the areas you don't know before you revise the areas you know. Students tend to feel comfortable with material and decide to do that and then ignore the pieces they don't. That's wrong. Do it the opposite way round. Revise by working through past exam papers if you can, but if you can't, set yourself a couple of exam papers or get your fellow workers to set you the exam papers. That often will help you to formulate your brain to the material quite effectively. Short, fixed times for revision in a place that's free from distractions. We do say all distractions, but again, if you're going into an exam room and you are sensitive to noise, then make sure there is a little bit of noise around so that you can get yourself used to that. But try and make sure that there's no dramatic distractions or people coming up and talking to you, because that would definitely stop you thinking. If you need music, Hemisync or Baroque is recommended. And if you don't understand it, just learn it parrot fashion. Don't break yourself over something you don't understand. Quite often, you find that because you're still studying the subject, you will not understand something. That doesn't mean that you are stupid or that you're going to have a problem later on. It just means you haven't got the practical background to actually put the material into context. And at that time, the only thing you can do is learn it parrot fashion. And please, try not to learn anything new 24 hours before the exam. If you pull an all-nighter, which is quite common with the university students, including my daughter, you often do not get the right marks. And I used to see that with her quite regularly. It is best to get a good night's sleep before you actually write the exam. And if you are stressed, then take something just to help you sleep the night before. Make sure you hydrate and make sure you're fresh when you write that exam. I have seen students fall asleep in the exams and they've written a couple of pages, and of course they failed. Why? Because they were too tired. So really ask yourself, is that all-nighter a good idea? I want to just talk to you about learning curves. I have told you to learn the stuff you don't know first and not the stuff you do know. Why is that? Well, it's because a learning curve really is most intense when you don't know much about a subject. Then the time spent studying on it gives you a much bigger response in learning. The knowledge becomes less as you know more about the subject to a point that is reached where if you are a master of a subject, you learn very little. So for instance, if you try and teach me about investment, I would not learn very much until you went to a mastery level that I no longer am at. The rest of the time, all I'm doing is refreshing my memory. So you don't want to actually study something that you're comfortable in. Rather study the aspects that you do not know or are unsure about first, and then the known stuff, because this gives you the most learning. To sum up, active learning will always beat passive learning. Always. Unless you have an eidetic memory, I do not recommend passive learning and reading of books and slides and notes. I just do not find that it has actually helped most of the students that I've dealt with. Now, I want you to look at this next point. Does it make you feel comfortable? Well, that's because you need to start with information that you're not comfortable with and progress to that information you know that when you are tired or in the last study shift of the day, you can study. Starting with the information you do not know will positively affect the learning curve and will definitely reduce your study time.